Hello, I'm Fast Lawyer. Today we're going to do a review for Fate's Call: A New Beginning, a new VR fantasy RPG released on the Steam Store November 30th, 2020 by developer Luther Studios. It's available for all the major VR headsets. It normally retails for $14.99. I got a free Steam key through the Steam Curator Connect program. To review this game, I tested it out on the Oculus Quest 2 using the Oculus Link cable. Now I do have to give credit to the developer. This is a very ambitious title, and after finishing the tutorial, when you start this game, you're like, whoa, this looks like a big world, and this looks like something exciting, maybe like a mini Skyrim. But once you get past that shiny veneer and start digging into this game, you start seeing that there really isn't as much depth to the game as it may appear at first blush. Plus, there's just lots of little bugs along the way, which make this game not really worth the $14.99 asking price. However, there are some nice ideas to this game, and there's like the start as to what might be interesting game mechanics. But at the end of the day, this feels like an early access title that was released in its alpha build. There's just not much here, and once you start spending some time with the game, you start seeing all its faults, and it just becomes a slog and not much fun. So at first there is that sense of adventure. You see the huge world and you're like, oh, this is gonna be good. But once you get into it, you realize there really isn't as much there as you originally thought, and just the combat is too simple. It needs to be better fleshed out than it is in this game, and the bugs just ruin any kind of fun you might have had with what's currently in the game right now. Fate's Call: A New Beginning is running on the Unreal Engine. On my RTX 3080, I was getting a steady 90 frames per second. On the Oculus Quest 2, I had zero performance issues whatsoever. This is a low polygon world, so I would expect that to be the case. But there really is nice set pieces throughout, and I really like the different environments set out with the low polygon world. And it does look really good at first blush, but once you get closer, you start seeing some of the lack of detail in the different environments, and you see some character models that are just a little too basic. They look like they're taken from the asset store, and you really start seeing weaknesses within the art style. Some areas within the game really look nice, while others are just really lacking, and it's just strange what works and what doesn't work. You go over a bridge and one and it works perfectly fine, and then you'll go over another bridge and you'll just walk right through it. You'll basically clip through the whole thing, and there are certain things that you can grab and other things that you can't. So it's just that lack of consistency, the lack of detail within certain areas, and that really brings down the whole experience once you start seeing all the warts, all the faults in this game. You do have full locomotion and snap turning available. There are no other options as far as locomotion, turning, or comfort options. Now there are some graphical settings you can change, and you basically have like a little tablet on your tool belt. That's also the place where you can holster your sword and your bow and arrow, as well as any potions or whatnot, but I really never had to use one, so I'm not really sure why they even exist in the game. I found it pretty difficult to die. And once you progress in the game, you'll also have a companion that you can command, but the commands are very basic, and unfortunately, if you command the companion to follow you, they'll get a little bit too close, and you'll see those issues in this video later on, where my companion just basically keeps walking way too close to me and clips right through my body and makes it difficult to see the map at certain times. Also, although this game does look like a huge open world, in fact, it's pretty linear, especially in the quests that you have to do. Yes, you can walk around anywhere you want, that is true, but if you want to progress the story, it's pretty linear, and there's a certain path to take. if you want to complete the quest line for this game. And I only noticed the main quest line. I did not notice any other side quest or anything of that nature in this game. There is a story here, and most of it is told through text, but there's also some cinematic scenes with voiceovers. Unfortunately, the voiceovers are pretty robotic, and the text, there's just not much to it. So the story just ends up being too simple, and basically you're just going from point A to point B and either collecting stuff or killing stuff. So there's not much really to these quests. Now, there are different abilities you can use. You can use your bow and arrow, you can use your sword, or you can use some magic spells. And there do seem to be some upgrades and different magic spells that I could see.
What's the plan?
However, how you get all that stuff, I have no idea. I played this game for about an hour and a half, and during that time, I just got bored. The combat was too simple. It basically just consisted of going in up close to your enemy, striking, getting out when it struck, and then getting back in, and you just rinse and repeat that throughout. If you're using your bow and arrow, then it's just simply shoot while they're coming towards you. If they fire an arrow at you, obviously just evade. But that's basically the only strategy so far I've seen in this game. Now, the enemies do have different attacks. You'll have archers, you have melee, and they do different types of melee swings, and there's some with shields. But again, you just go in and out of their melee range and you'll be fine. Or if you're using the bow and arrow, just keep on shooting. You also have a fire spell, but again, the fire spell is basically the same thing, only probably worse than either melee or the bow and arrow, where you just get out of melee range and then shoot your fire, although because of your lack of mana recovery, that's not something that you can just do over and over again. So at some point you will need to use either your sword or your bow and arrow, even if you decide to use magic in this game. Lastly, there is a climbing mechanic in this game, but I'll just say it's pretty bad and really not worth talking about other than to say it's bad. So if I have to rate Fate's Call A New Beginning, I would give it a 4 out of 10. There's some really nice concepts, a nice looking open world, but there's just not enough depth behind it, and it's just a little bit too buggy. It really needs improved combat for me to ever even consider giving it a neutral recommendation. Anyways, I'm Fast Lawyer. If you enjoyed my review, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, please have a wonderful day. Goodbye.
Another one.
Thank you for saving us. I will open the second door at the entrance. Please end this madness.